Hello, welcome to our Watson Farmstead. My name is Tim. I wanted to give you a little bit of background on me and who I am, um, and just kind of give a little brief explanation on some of the trials and tribulations that I have to deal with on a daily basis, um, where I came from, and what I'm working through. Um, Here on our Watson Farmstead. I am the outside guy and usually the backup person to Lisa and helping her with her baking and her outdoor chores. I am going to do some segments on this channel. It's going to be called Farming Blind with Tim. I am a 20-year veteran of the U.S. Army. I was medically retired in 2017. I have had several over the years concussions and blows to the head that have kind of left my brain a little bit wonky. Um, I got a couple of good hard blows on the back of my head where the occipital region of the brain where the optic nerves come in, and it has caused me to be a low vision person. I have about 5 to 6 degrees of field of vision. I have no depth perception. My acuity is good. I can see clearly with what I can see. The best example I can give you is taking two toilet paper tubes and put them together and then just kind of walk around. That's about what I can see, maybe just a tick less than that. But um, I did that for my kids to kind of give them a perspective of what I have, what I see and where my vision is. It's kind of hilarious when they're like, "Dad, look at this," and it's like, okay, fine. At first, I took a lot of offense to it, but now it's just, you know what? It is what it is. I can honestly say that it's something that I've had to struggle with, and over the last 8 years, every day still a learning process for me. I'm still trying to figure out how to do some things. Um, but I thought I'd just this introduction, and so if you see me stumbling around or doing some little segments, I am going to post some of the things that I do up on this channel, um, that I work through. I take things very slowly. I try to think things through the best I can. A lot of times that doesn't work. There's a lot of trial and error on my part. Um, I am constantly supervised by the wife. I'm never out here by myself doing anything. I learned the hard way that I was supervised by one of my adult daughters and still end up hurting myself pretty good. But yeah, neither here nor there. I don't like to admit when I have a lot of failures, but I think that's just me being who I am and the way I was raised. And the Army kind of instills in you that failure's not always an option. So, anyways, like I said, I'm retired Army. I was retired in 2017. I've done 2 deployments. I did one combat deployment in 2009 to Afghanistan. I got bumped in the head a few times, and I'm gonna call them their bumped heads. They've classified me as having multiple TBIs, um, which is fine, but I prefer to use a bump to the head. Um, I did one deployment to Kuwait in 2014. That was more admin type stuff. I took care of some of the services on anybody that's familiar with that region or been over there. Beautiful Camp Buring in the middle of the desert is where I was at for. I was there for 10 months. Um, I did get banged on the head one time there, and they thought it might be a good idea, and they sent me home early. Um, that kind of was the second to the last good bump that I had to the head. My final was in early 2015. I had a widowmaker fall on me. Those that may not be familiar with a widowmaker, it's a dead branch that was up in a tree, and I was out with my little daughter at the time, or she was little at the time. And I was trying to push a branch out of the way so that she could climb up on this tree and sit on this branch, and it was kind of wiggling and moving, and she was having fun bouncing on it. Well, when I pushed it out of the way, I didn't realize that it went way up in the tree, and it came down and hit me right in the face, knocked me out, hit my head on the rock. I think that was the kind of the final blow that took my vision, for the most part. Um, and kind of came to, freaked me out, as I didn't see it coming down. Shortly after that, my vision started getting really, really wonky. Um, and sorry if I'm a little jumbled up on this. I did write me some notes, but nowadays my brain just kind of wanders all over the place, and I do take a lot of sharp left turns and kind of take a real hard right turn and some U-turns, so just kind of bear with me on this. While I was in the Army, I was an engineer, heavy equipment operator. I did that for 12 years. I went back into the National Guard in 2007, because when I was on active duty, I did not get to deploy anywhere. I was served during Desert Storm, and because of where I was at in my rank, they wouldn't send me over there. So I had to kind of regroup. So when all this other stuff happened after 2001, I had to get back in the game. So I got myself back in shape and joined the Georgia National Guard, and that's who I deployed with to Afghanistan. Good deployment. A lot more than what I expected. Those of you that may have served and went overseas, thank you for your service, and you can probably sympathize with kind of what I went through. But anyways, when I came back from that deployment, that was a little wonky. I had a few bumps of the head and a few issues that had happened. Nothing major, but it was when I went back on an admin deployment that I got hit in the head with a door, and then I bumped my head on my bunk. I can laugh about it now, but it was just how the head trauma happened, and just the craziness of how it happened is kind of what makes me giggle about it a lot. It's just one of those things that happened. In 2015, I was having a hard time. I couldn't talk very well. My speech was way off. I couldn't form any sentences. I was, it's kind of hard to describe. I was just kind of a babbling idiot. Nothing was working right in my brain. I just couldn't have coherent thoughts and or a conversation with anybody without just kind of going all over the place. I ended up going to Fraser Neuro Rehab, which is a brain rehabilitation center in Louisville, Kentucky. They're one of the top-notch people that have had strokes and multiple brain injuries or brain injuries, period, have go there. They do a few service members, stroke victims and stuff like that, but it's a comprehensive, it was a 5-day-a-week therapy, and it had, basically, they remapped my brain so that I could learn how to speak and converse and talk and have coherent thoughts. I was there for 8 months. I tell people about it now, and they're like, wow, that's kind of amazing, because it sure doesn't sound like you had any problems. I'm like, well, I still do have my moments, but it did take a lot of work to get it to get to the point to where I'm at now. While I was there, I was talking to the neuro specialist and told him that I felt like I had tunnel vision. He sent me to a neuro-optometrist, and they did some field tests and other things, and he basically told me, he goes, the reason why you think you have tunnel vision is because you have no peripheral vision. Then he explained how the optic nerves in the back of the brain spread out. You got two nerves that come out of the back of each eye, and then as they go through the brain, they cross and they split, and that's where you get your depth perception, your field of vision, your acuity, the color portion of your vision. It's where everything splits apart and goes to the brain, and the brain figures out how everything goes together. Some of my stuff is damaged back there. It's hard to see. It's hard to pick up. I've had all kinds of brain scans, and there's something going on back there, but they can't necessarily pinpoint it, and it's nothing that can be fixed. Luckily, over the last bunch of years that I've had tests done, nothing's getting worse. Everything's staying the same. My acuity, because of my age and my family history, my acuity is getting worse each time I go in, but I guess that's to be expected. So anyway, so that kind of got me to the point to where once I could know what I was doing, I started relearning how to do things. I was, when we lived in Kentucky, we had 16 acres of land and our horses and a big garden, and learning how to do all that over again was really a task. Trying to stay on task, trying to do anything, just, keeping myself focused took a long time to do. Doing little projects, having very little vision, and I got all the power tools and, saws and drills and whatever, and learning how to use all those again without cutting off any of my fingers. We were remodeling our house in Kentucky, and I came very close because for whatever reason, I reached across, I was cutting some trim, and I had the saw in my right hand, pulling down and cutting and holding it up with my left hand. Well, for whatever reason, when I let the saw up, I reached across the blade because the other piece was falling. And I don't know why I did that, but yeah, I cut off part of the tip of this finger. They did a good job of sewing it back. There's no feeling there, but yeah, it's my reminder to pay attention a little more, and just if it will fall on the ground, just let it fall on the ground. It's easier to pick up a piece of board that fell on the ground than it is to pick up parts of your fingers. So again, it took me a long time to gain the confidence that I needed to do the things that I used to do, or let me say, relearn how to do them within my abilities. I still get frustrated with what I'm doing. I still get frustrated that I can't do what I used to do. That's, everybody's told me that's just part of the human nature, that's just the way it's going to be. But I do a lot of meditation, a lot of mindfulness, a lot of praying every day, and just put it into the hands of God and let Him take care of it, and move on with my life. I can't help what I was dealt, but I can surely adapt and learn how to deal with it even better than what I am. So anyways, it's still a learning process for me. I still love to do projects. Again, I apologize if I'm all over the place. I just, my notes, I'm not keeping very good on my notes. Sorry for the break here. Anyways, so everything's a learning process. Some of the things other than TBI and the low vision, my back and neck had some bings and bangs to them, to where my left thigh and my whole entire right leg are really numb. I can walk. That's why, I don't know if you noticed in some of the videos, I kind of, everybody says I waddle. A duck is my favorite thing. I grew up duck hunting. I love ducks and geese. I just think they're fun to watch. But they say I do waddle like a duck now, since that's one of my favorite animals. Because of my nerves and my sciatica, and the way my hip is, and my lower back, it's hard to walk some days. My shoulder, one of the accidents I had when I was in Afghanistan, I ended up tearing a ligament, tore a ligament in my neck, and it didn't get picked up right away, so it didn't heal correctly. So I have a lot of nerve and issues on my right side of the neck. My right hand is and arm are pretty much numb all the time. I don't really have any grip, but I still do a lot of things with my right hand. I am right-handed. I've learned to do more things with my left hand. Um, it is difficult to become ambidextrous, I guess, when your brain doesn't quite understand what you're doing. So in some of the videos, if you see me doing weird things or um, dropping things all the time, that's kind of where that comes from. I don't have any feeling in my right hand, so when I'm holding something, I can't always know that I'm holding it unless I see it physically in my hand, because if I'm holding something and not really paying attention, I will drop it. I've done that with a coffee mug or a can of soda, or holding tools or whatever. So it does take a lot for me to focus on what I'm doing. Um, and some days it's just mentally straining, and I can go out and work for a couple hours and come in and be like, oh my good grief, it's like I just spent 10 hours on the job again. Um, and I've only been out there for a couple hours. So it's just, it's a challenge, but it's a challenge I don't mind. I've really come to accept, and I think for the most part I've really overcome. I think with the low vision, one of the most frustrating things is not being able to drive. But I do have a side by side. I drive around on the property, and I have a tractor. And I am the only one that will operate the tractor. When we moved to Alabama 4.5 years ago, I told my wife this, and I'm going to buy a brand new tractor with a loader on it, and that's going to be my tractor, because I've never had a brand new tractor before. I've always bought used. It's got a backhoe on it and a bunch of other things you'll see in some of the videos that we post up. That I'd love to get out there. Being an engineer, that gets in your blood, and just you can't help it. But I enjoy it. I can do it without too much problem. Running the tractor, I can see, and I've really got my brain wrapped around being more attentive to what I'm doing. And trying to pay attention, even though I can't see much. I just take my time, go really slow. I had a neighbor comment, he's like, well, you're bush hogging, you're just out there just putting along, aren't you? And I'm like, well, I have to go slow. I can't really see I want to be able to see where I'm going and what I'm doing, but I do it at a slow pace. I don't want to go fast and then either look behind me, checking the bush hog, and then bash into something, or looking in front of me and then, not paying attention what's behind me and run over something and tear up my bush hog. So it's a real even balance that I've kind of learned to come up with, and I think I've gotten really good at it. Like I said at the beginning, I take my time at what I'm doing. I don't rush anything. It does get frustrating because it's, a project that may take some people a few hours or a day to do. It'll take me 3 days. Just because I learned to not push myself, and when it gets done, it gets done. Okay, well, I shouldn't say that, because I want to get it done in a timely manner. I won't push myself too hard to where I will get hurt or screw something up, but I don't drag it out forever. So, if that makes sense. I guess, one thing I learned in the Army, they like to say pacing yourself. My pace is a lot slower than what it used to be, so I do like to pace myself. So, anyways, again, my little segments of me called Farming Blind with Tim. I hope you enjoy the videos. I hope I didn't confuse you too much with this little short segment. But I just kind of, like I said, wanted to introduce myself. I wanted to give you a little bit of background, and watching the videos and you like, oh man, look at this guy's just a goof. Now you know why I'm a goof. I think humor is one way to go through life, because you don't want to take things too seriously, and I do think I am a goof. I do goofy things. I look goofy, and yeah, growing up, Goofy was one of my favorite Disney characters, so I guess it's kind of fitting. But anyways, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like and comment, subscribe to our channel. We're going to start hopefully getting a little more content up. We're just trying to get the introductory thing in, and still the learning curve on putting all this stuff together. So again, thank you for watching, and I hope that you follow along with our crazy adventure on our Watson Farmstead.